Oh my god, I can't believe I'm going back on this shit. I can believe it, but I feel kind of like I'm giving up. Kind of a little bit. I was proud not to be on these drugs, but I heard that. Fuck. I heard that 95% of the people that go off antidepressants go back on. So, whatever, but I feel bad. I feel bad. I feel like I'm giving up. I feel like the fact that I need these means that I'm weaker than other people who don't. That I'm a punk.
Andrew, turn the camera off.
Swiss
turn it off.
damsel
Turn the
in New
camera
York.
off. Come on.
This is B-roll for the next
Turn
project.
it off.
That's me, Anna. And that's Andrew, my friend and filmmaking partner. Andrew's quite a talented guy, and he's been busy since he graduated from college 2 years ago. He helped develop a filmmaking school for teenagers in the Bronx.
People come in who haven't had really any experience with film, haven't really touched a camcorder, and within 9 weeks, we take them through every stage of the creative process.
Recently, he switched gears and co-founded an internet startup with a close friend from high school.
Let's look at the existing competitors.
But that's not all. On Wednesdays, he hosts his own cable access show.
You want to battle? Let's battle.
I ain't talking about battling.
I'm talking about battling you. This is about, my life.
And he's also creating educational rap songs for elementary school kids.
Washington wouldn't let the British mess with him. Plus, he set the precedent for all future presidents.
Adams expanded the military like crazy, created the Marine Corps, started the Navy.
Yet there's something bothering Andrew.
I'm confused about psychotropic medication.
Really?
Really?
And what medication are you on?
I am now on Celexa, an SSRI antidepressant.
An antidepressant?
Yes.
Andrew's history with medication dates back to the 5th grade. He was doing poorly at school, no matter how hard he tried, as well as having nightmares and other problems at home. His parents were concerned and took him to a psychiatrist, who diagnosed him with ADD and prescribed him Ritalin.
Boom, within a month, my whole life changed. I went from, being a terrible student to being a wonderful student, and didn't have nightmares anymore and all that stuff. And it was great on the one hand. I was so happy. My life had changed for the better. And on the other hand, I think it really made me a little nutso. It was a little confusing being that young, having this tiny little pill change my life so drastically.
Right.
Yeah.
You thought it was a pill?
I thought it was the pill, yeah. I thought it was maybe the pill, not me. Was I weak without the pill?
Right.
Andrew thrived in college. He majored in English and film, made an award-winning short about racial identity, and performed to packed houses with his rap group, Rival School. But during his sophomore year, Andrew suffered from what he calls obsessive thinking patterns. He sought help and was prescribed Celexa.
I was sort of confused about what I should do with my life. You know, I was staying in school, I was in college, working very hard at getting good grades, doing well, and a friend of mine, a very ambitious friend, a very talented painter, had dropped out of school, actually junior year. After junior year, dropped out and gone to the city to pursue painting full time. And I was thinking, you know, maybe that's the thing to do, maybe I'm wasting my time here in college, I should pursue things more in that vein. And he at the time was painting in this style where he was doing these sort of bulbous, circular shapes. And everything I saw started to remind me of these shapes. Like this shotgun microphone is, you know, has a sphere form, and I would think that's one of the shapes. Or your nose is shaped like a sphere. You know, I think, oh, there's one of his shapes he makes. Or I was in class learning about subatomic particles, and all of a sudden I was thinking about this painting, and you know, everything I thought of was one of these shapes, and it started to really become more than bothersome.
Andrew's questions about his meds have not changed much since 5th grade.
Yeah, they're a lot of them are the same. You know, a lot of them are about weakness. You know, had I not gone on the pills, would I, you know, have gained a certain strength coming out of that rut that now I don't have? But also, I just don't know if I need this Alexa anymore.
We thought that these questions could be the basis for a pretty interesting documentary.
What you say we make a documentary about your confusion?
Let's make a documentary about my confusion.
Soon thereafter, we got into full production mode. We started talking about what we wanted to explore throughout the course of this project.
So many questions are raised, you know, issues of you know, do these things change your personality? Are they a quick fix? And I just think they're fascinating questions, and they're ones I probably should answer for me as well, since I'm on the pills.
We decided that we wanted our documentary to bring people's experiences with meds into sharp focus. We began by placing an ad on Craigslist to find people who were dealing with similar issues.
I myself am a character in the doc. I've
Later,
also dealt with
we also
certain-
plan to reach out to Andrew's close friends. The first person we interviewed had a story which is surprisingly similar to Andrew's.
I don't think people should be happy all the time. I mean,
Right.
that's
Well,
not reality.
yeah.
You know, you have to feel the roller coaster, and it makes life so much more visceral if you're just like experiencing things. And
Sarah was diagnosed with ADD as a child and with obsessive-compulsive disorder in college. She made a documentary about it.
Hello, my name is Sarah Elizabeth Witt, and I'd like to introduce you to the game that I play in my head with the words that I hear in conversation. Here's how it works. Someone walks up to me and says,
How are you?
if I'm playing my game, I take these words and I extract the first letter of each word. From these letters, I form a new word. In this lucky instance, a word is instantly formed. Great! When I hear a word that starts with the letter U, I immediately gain access to the letter Y. This is because the letter U is phonetically pronounced with a Y. U. And because the letter Y starts with the letter W, I automatically have access to the W. This goes for most of the alphabet. Sorry, Mom, I'm having a really stressful
even
day.
with a simple phrase like,
I'm sorry to hear that.
words that might clutter my head include the following:
Heart, rate, tear, hear, tea, tear, eat, ate, ether, teeth, rash, ace, seed, share, sit, hearse, sir, ash, rehearse, east, star,
Sass,
start,
ass,
tire,
harass,
terse,
eat,
area,
erase,
tether,
Sarah,
tease,
Irish,
Sierra,
Sierra,
it is,
tis,
shit,
shit,
sure,
thirst, but it had gotten really unbearable, the game. We called it the game. That winter, it got really awful. I was really nervous all the time. I was always like, doing this, and I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I'm going crazy. So I was like...
When you couldn't take it anymore, you mean what? Like you wanted to die, or you were...
No, I was just like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm going crazy. Like,
You felt bad.
I felt like this is awful. Like, what is this? And I knew I'd been doing it for my whole life, and I was like, it's just really recently, I don't know what to do. I can't think. But I couldn't concentrate on anything. I was like,
Right.
I was
It
like,
was
it was the
completely-
word game was everything. it was bad. That's why I went to a doctor, because I don't really go to doctors unless it's extreme. So I went, and he was like,
To the new guy.
yeah, and he was like, no, I don't know. And I was like, I don't know, I stopped taking my Adderall, and I don't know if that's what it is. And he's like, it's probably not that. And he's like, he like writes me a prescription. He's like, go get this. And it was Zoloft. And I was like, well, I'm like, isn't that for like depression? And he's like, oh, it's used to treat a lot of things. And I was like, great. I was like, I hate this. I hated it. Because I would like it was over Christmas. And I was just like, I can't do this. Like, it just makes me blah. I was so boring when I took it. It just put me in this zone where everything was really even, like a zone.
Not good.
It just wasn't what I wanted.
If you could eliminate the game from your life, starting when you were young, when you were 6, would you eliminate it?
It's just an interesting, weird thing I do, and I think right now I'm at peace with it. So it's like, I think that's what makes you, yourself, though, these things. And if we all eliminated our, things that kind of, like these really awful tasks that we all do, then we wouldn't be original, Like everybody would just be like a machine.
Are you recording? Good first interview, huh?
Yeah, it was great.
What'd you think? What'd you think of So, her movie? So.
The movie was great.
It was great. It was great. Totally got it, man. She totally got it. She totally got the obsessive, ruminative deal. The way it just takes you over.
She had such a similar situation to me, and she was doing well and was cool and was happy with her quirks and could handle it.
So, I was inspired.
Sarah didn't want to medicate what she thought was unique about her. I took a closer look at the advertising for mental illness medication. PMDD, SAD, chronic depression. It seemed that the marketing of meds kept broadening the definitions of illness to include more and more of the general population. Were we becoming less tolerant of differences and eccentricities, narrowing down further the range of acceptable behavior and emotions? Or were these ads breaking down negative stereotypes of mental illnesses and helping people finally get relief from unnecessary suffering?
Let me eat. And I'm tired.
Again, you just got here.
I need to take a short nap, I think.
How many hours did you sleep?
Probably went to bed around 3:30. Woke up at 9:30. What's that? 6, right?
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
It's not bad.
So it's 6 hours?
You think you need more?
Andrew was often sleepy, but neither of us were sure if it was his Alexa or his generally unhealthy lifestyle.
Andrew. Andrew.
Yes? Yes? 5 more minutes.
No.
5.
You've said that 3 times.
Just 5 more, please. Just 5 more, I promise. I promise.
You've said that 3 times, Andrew.
5 more, please. 5 more minutes, please.
You told me to wake you up because you didn't want to sleep.
I know, but 5 more. Please. I promise last 5, I promise.
I'm not waking you up again.
5 minutes.
I woke up with a fever one morning, and it didn't go away for, around a week and a half. And I was exhausted, and I would just start to cry for no apparent reason. And I was at college, and my boyfriend called my parents, and he said, "You have to do something with her. I can't deal with her anymore. There's something wrong with her."
Cory was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, but decided not to take the prescribed antidepressant.
I said, "No thanks. I want to try this on my own first." So the doctor in Florida suggested I jump up and down on the trampoline every day, which they're big believers in, and it does, it makes you feel good. And yoga, and I did fast while I was there, and I juiced, as I said.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was gonna call you today, my phone was dead.
Say somebody did a little bit of alternative stuff, but not really. They come back to the doctor a month later and they say, you know what, I'm not ready to change my life. I'm not ready to spend this much hours a day doing exercise. I just want to sort of fit into this society as I can, and I just want something to make me feel a bit better. I just want a pill, you know?
And I think that's foolish, and I think it's a weakness of character. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people who do say that to their doctors, and I just think it's foolish because you don't know the long-term side effects, and you're happier in the long run. I mean, everyone's depressed sometimes. Everyone feels down. It's normal. Some days we're happy, some days we're not. But, and it's okay even to be a little stressed at your job. It kind of keeps you motivated and keeps you moving. But you really should be willing to try what's available. And with acupuncture and yoga and exercise, it's just so many things that we can try. And they make you feel so good. They probably make you feel better than the medicine makes you feel. But people just aren't willing to give it a chance.
What you eating, Andrew?
I'm eating some carrots because we just went to Swami Cory's house, who told us the benefits of healthy living.
What did you think about that interview? What did you think about her?
I mean, honestly, it made me feel lazy. It made me feel like, you know what? Had I gotten off my ass and done some exercise and done some diet change, I might have never needed to go on these drugs. I'm not even kidding. I think many people with somewhat severe mental disorders, not super severe, but things like I had, where like medication really helped me, could have been helped by things without medication. I do think I would have been okay had I done serious CBT, serious other stuff, and it would have taken a lot longer, I think, and I think it would have been less, there would have been more of a chance that I wouldn't have been better.
This would be maybe the twist in the documentary. For you to make like some really dramatic life-changing decision, lifestyle changes, make lifestyle changes, and then to try to stick to it and see, like, first of all, how much it changes your well-being on the drugs, and then if it changes it sufficiently to try to like.
What lifestyle changes would really help me, Anna? Do you think be less obsessive?
Well, you keep changing around your mind. You just said you could do it to like
CBT therapy.
Yes.
Why would I want to do CBT therapy if the drugs are helping me? So I can get off the drugs, you mean?
Yeah. But you don't value not being on the drug. This is
I do actually.
vicious circle that we keep doing.
I think I do. The sexual thing is annoying. I don't like it.
And the tiredness, you know, assuming
But the
that
tiredness,
it's not only you.
I really don't know if it's from the drugs. It could be from my terrible sleeping habits or my terrible.
Right. So like these are some of the lifestyle changes I'm talking about. You're never sleeping at the same time. You're never waking up at the same time. You're eating at any time of the day. You have no structure. You don't exercise every day. Come on, what do you mean?
Exercise every day? So now everyone has to exercise every day? What kind of fucking world is this? I don't want to exercise every day. What kind of bullshit is this?
The next day, when I came to pick him up, Andrew was still in bed at 10.
Or maybe it's because
So get up so we can go work.
5 more minutes?
I'm on Wellbutrin, Lamictal, Klonopin, lithium, and I feel like I'm forgetting one. Ambien, the sleep, but I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting. I hope not.
I want to kiss you. Shadow you jaw-like against touch, touch you scent of musk, salt water and sea foam clean, want to kiss you near God.
A year ago, Bessie had a very severe breakdown.
One day I was in my dressing room, and I was trying to put on my makeup, and I couldn't because I couldn't stop crying. And there was a sink, there was a shower, and there was a sink in the dressing room, and I don't know why I put down my makeup brush, crying, and I went and I crawled underneath the sink, and I'm kind of small, so I kind of just sat there, and I'm just crying, and Alice came in to check on me anyway, because the night before I wasn't doing well, and she pulled me off, and she pulled me out. She's like, look, I called Mr. Lathan. He's the director of the show. I told him that you need to go. And I remember going back to the hotel and calling people and saying they're sending me home. And I felt I was fired. I just didn't know what was wrong.
Bessie met with a psychiatrist and was diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
He said that you sound like you have bipolar 2 disorder. And he brought out a little list and showed me, and I was like, oh, fucking hell, I do. It just made breathing a whole lot easier. It just made a lot of things just make sense.
Andrew. What up, Anna?
What do you think of Bessie?
I think Bassie's awesome. We love you, Bessie. You're the bomb.
Do you think it was helpful to you?
The interview I thought is very interesting. It's fascinating. In terms of my question of whether to go off the pills, not so much really. Just because Bassie's, I think, problems are much more severe than my own, and I don't think she really has the option of going off. I don't think anyone would recommend she do, which is quite different. So yeah.
You've been mentioning to your psychiatrist already, right?
Yeah. I've been talking to my psychiatrist about possibility of going off, which he thinks is a reasonable possibility. So I'm seeing her again. We're gonna talk more about it.
And so after consulting his psychiatrist, Andrew went off his medication.
It's a very spiritual area. Be quiet. It's the acupuncture and healing center. I'm feeling incredible. I've been sleeping well.
Really?
My business is going great. I'm calm. I'm happy. I have no obsessions at all.
You're off everything?
Everything.
So can we actually, I'm going to start the intake and just kind of see what's going on.
Okay,
and,
cool. It's the first time I haven't been on some sort of psychiatric medication for, since a very, very long time ago. But right now, if I was saying I was experiencing any symptoms that were bad mentally, it would be like a real incredible impatience that I think would be very much helped by meditation, yoga, and stuff like that. Like for instance, when I'm waiting for a phone message to finish, like when they have that stupid automated voice come on with a cell phone, please leave a message, everyone knows what to do, but they still tell you every time. Just that 3 seconds of waiting is unbearable. It's come on. During the day, I'm a little edgy sometimes, in a way that is a bit uncomfortable maybe. I feel like I wish I could take something sometimes that would make me a little calmer. I could take something, have a drink, I guess.
But you see, I think that's part of it, is that you keep thinking that something external is going to change
that's how
you.
I've always
Right.
lived.
Whereas, in fact, when we talk about meditation, when we talk about yoga, it's actually coming from inside, is that you can change yourself, that you don't need to rely on all these medications.
Right. There's 2 pillows. Okay.
And that's all? Okay. What we're going to work on is kind of balancing his chi, and also to kind of calm the excess energy in his system.
That sounds good.
So, small, yeah, they're not the same.
That's okay.
See?
A little poke.
Exactly.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Tell me a little bit, even though I know, obviously, about how you know me.
I went to high school with you, and middle school and lower school, and you came to my 4th grade party when we were children, and you dated my best friend when we were seniors in high school, and I dated your best friend.
It's true.
Uh-oh, the Y is gonna be a little difficult. COD. I've been diagnosed with everything. I've been diagnosed as bipolar, I've been diagnosed as ADD, ADHD, I've been diagnosed as depressive, obsessive. OCD is the most recent and the most accurate, I think. This is a lovely collage. I had to do this for when I was in the hospital, I believe. I think it definitely started out like I wanted to lose weight and be thinner. But after like a month or so, it was something totally out of my control and different than
Its own thing, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm sort of a lucky case of prescription medication because I've had tons of therapy. I'm at a point where, and I have an amazing doctor. A lot of people don't have that. They just get prescribed whatever the doctor is getting paid to prescribe them, and they're on their merry way. I like it here. I prefer it in the summertime.
That's good. I'm freezing my ass off.
I really believe that a lot of it is just neurochemical, partially because I had a brain scan done once as part of this Columbia study. This was an abnormal neurometric evaluation characterized by extreme and diffuse delta deficit, theta and alpha excess. Some frontal sharp waves and theta bursts were seen in the EEG. While this profile is severely abnormal, the patient cannot be classified with confidence in any of our clinical categories. Story of my life. And my dad called me a couple days later and said, Cody, like, I understand, it's okay, like, we need to get you some help. And I said, what are you talking about, Dad? He's like, I know you're a crack cocaine addict. I was like, what? I've never done crack cocaine in my whole life. And that's because the doctor from the brain scan place had called them and said that I have the brain of a crack cocaine addict. So, I mean, that's just science. Like,
after listening to Cody's story, Andrew and I wanted to know more about the brain. We arranged an interview with Dr. David Hellerstein, the clinical director of the New York State Psychiatric Institute. In his research on depression, Dr. Hellerstein has made extensive use of brain imaging technology.
The brain is a constantly regrowing and re-evolving organ that's plastic or shows plasticity, which means that it's constantly remaking connections, and it's also very sensitive to both stress and relief of stress. So depression's a high-stress situation. There's parts of the brain that are very much affected by those high-stress situations, and actually parts of the brain cells can actually die more quickly, parts of the brain actually shrink back, and there's an actual brain process that's happening that is scary. If you look at, if you think of, oh my God, look what's happening in this person's brain. It's not just the person's feeling sad and they cry too much. It's a brain condition. What the studies about the effects of treatment show that antidepressant medicines actually stop the destruction of brain cells and actually help the brain to regrow certain centers of the brain. It's called neurogenesis, and certain parts of the brain that relate to working memory called the hippocampus and other areas actually regrow over time with antidepressant treatments.
So what did you think of his interview?
I thought it was pretty fascinating. I mean, that was on his phone. Turn your. I don't know if I'm doing interviews. What's wrong with you?
Continue.
I thought those images. I mean, they definitely. Just as much as an X-ray would show that there's a broken leg, they show that these are, that during a real depression, people's brains are seriously damaged in a way that can be visually seen, and that people like, with disorders like Cody and Bessie should feel no guilt that it's in their head. I mean, it's in their brain, but that it's fake. They should feel no guilt of that issue. It's ridiculous. You can see it.
What do you mean, like people like Cody or Bessie? So, like, you mean that what he said only applies to people with severe illness?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what do you mean?
Well, it sounds like you're saying that it should only apply, that what he said only applies to people like them.
I don't know if it applies to me. I don't know. Why? Well, I I don't know if it applies to me. I'm not Bessie and I'm not Cody, and I love Cody, and Bessie's great, you know. And I think they're wonderful, strong people with an illness, and I guess, you know, it's somewhat hard for me to want to group myself in. Obviously, there's a spectrum. I guess sometimes I feel like I don't want to be anywhere on it at all, you know.
During the following months, Andrew devoted tons of time to his new business. Although I knew his work was keeping him very busy, there was something else distancing him from me. Andrew had now been off his antidepressant for a couple of months when we shot this interview.
Tell me more about how you've been feeling overall. You say a little sad. Is that really what you've been feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have these depths of, these waves of sort of a more heavy sadness, definitely, than when I was on the meds. I can really feel them. Like, it's not even obsessional stuff. It's really more just like I get these real feelings of like real lows, and I feel very, very sort of trapped in it and frightened by it. Let's have a little Jameson. Little drugs.
I prefer Bushmills.
We then met Jason,
Protestant.
Andrew's best friend
Irish
since
whiskey.
kindergarten.
I want to talk to you because you always say to me that, you know, you didn't really like that I was on these drugs somewhat. You thought that you thought they were not necessarily the best idea.
It's just that maybe it's because I'm so close to you and I don't want to think that you're in that much pain. But like honestly, sometimes I'm just like, this is just obsession issues, at least the way I've experienced them, which have not been that severe,
right,
are the kind of thing that I can get over, and time generally helps out. Right. And I just don't want to see an Andrew that's like being changed across the board, because I mean,
right,
who you are is
right,
largely constituted by certain emotions up and down, and having to go through them and fight through them. And that's like, as a friend, like I'd rather you come to me and be like, I have this problem, you know, I'm obsessing about this, and talk to me rather than me. You know, I mean, you do that given, but like it's when you come to me and talk to me about these problems, I mean, and you're on drugs, I feel like, you know, like it defeats the purpose of certain elements of friendship, and it just sort of like makes me a little creeped out. I don't know who I'm dealing with.
Did you know what Jason felt about the meds back in college? Was that, you knew about that already then, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Did he bother you? What do you
I mean, it didn't. Yeah, it bothered me a little bit. I mean, he was very supportive of me when I was going through like a hard time, and I'd call him and he'd help me out. And I thought he'd understand a little bit more my decision to do it.
You never felt that it made you, like that you weren't your real self, obviously.
No, honestly, no. Then I was grateful. I felt like it really freed me from that stuff, and you know, I felt like it made me more myself. And I don't know if anything, you know, now that feeling more depressed and, you know, more obsessional, I just feel like I'm less myself.
Jason's concern that Andrew was a different person on the meds made me think about the nature of identity, of consciousness. Cody, like Andrew, felt that meds were not fundamentally changing her.
Because I think in some ways, I don't know, it's hard to call it a sickness, but if you want to call it a sickness, of the way my mind naturally works, gets in the way of me being my true essence of self.
Can we separate illness from identity? Bessie's sense of herself seemed to have been shattered by her diagnosis.
I was always, you know, like known as hyper and, you know, flaky, and she has mood swings, and that's just the way she is. And so for my entire life, that's just the way I was. And so now that I'm learning that a lot of that was due to this disorder and the symptoms of the disorder, I don't really have an idea what what to make of myself.
From recent advancements in neuroscience, we've learned that thoughts, emotions, and behaviors can be traced directly to the firing of neurons. Many scientists believe that one day, all that is essentially human, including consciousness, will be attributed to specific neurological processes. If our brains control us like puppets, can you blame us for our emotions, our behavior? All of this, of course, challenged the notion that there might be an essential self that can be distorted or freed by the use of medication. Where before, Andrew was always mugging for the camera, now he did not want to be filmed at all and was having doubts about being a character in our film altogether.
But what if I don't want every ounce of my deepest shit on this fucking movie? Do I have to have that? No. I never volunteered for that, particularly.
No, and you don't
To
have
have
to.
every part of my life exposed. We can shut it off right now.
Just leave it. Just forget the camera. Leave it on.
Why? I don't want to leave it on. I feel like I don't like it on. Oh, no, why does it have to be on? I don't want that. I don't.
Okay, turn it off.
Out of the blue, I received an alarming email from Bessie. She stopped taking her meds completely. Last time she did that, she ended up in the hospital after attempting to commit suicide.
You have reached the Sprint voice mailbox of... It's Bessie. To leave a voice message, press 1.
Hey Bessie, it's Anna. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. Could you please call me back as soon as you get this? I want to check on you.
Hello?
Bessie.
Hi, I'm so sorry for that email. I don't know what I was thinking.
In the past, Andrew would have found a way to make time for this spur-of-the-moment interview. But when I called him, he said he was just too busy with work.
Okay, can I just say, for the record, I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing. I'm still not even convinced really that I'm bipolar. Like, I know that I am, but I'm still not sure that my quirks and kinks are directly, associated with bipolar disorder. I'm sure they are. I know they are in textbook when I look into any symptoms or descriptions, but I just don't want to be.
Bessie takes high doses of serious medication. Because she has been unable to find the right combination, she still experiences acute side effects.
I need to be up at night because that's when I work the best. I can't be tired and asleep at night. I can't lose my motivation, which was what lithium was taking my motivation. I need to be able to get up in the morning and feel like I can leave the house as opposed to just like, you know, my attitude since I've been on lithium is that, you know, why leave the house when I only have to come back? I want to kiss you, shadow you, jawline against touch, longing, kiss you, scent of musk, salt water.
After an extended hiatus, Bessie agreed to appear at a Deaf Poetry Jam performance.
From Brooklyn, please give a warm Deaf Poetry welcome to Miss Bessie.
So, I have a crush on a friend of mine, but he just wants to be friends.
Bessie had a change of heart before the show and went back on her meds. Her performance went without a hitch.
Just a kiss, quiet, quick, subtle, silent. It'll probably speak volumes.
Although Andrew still questioned his participation as a character in the documentary, he agreed to record himself when he was alone.
Well, Well, I've been sad, and I don't know if that means I should be off the drugs or on the drugs, because I think I don't know what I want to do with my life. And I'd love to make these documentaries, but I don't know if that's going to make me any goddamn money, so I might have to do something else. Seems so, and ugh, I hate you. And man, I feel pretty bad. I feel pretty sad. I don't know what to do with my life, and I'm kind of freaking out about that. It makes me worry constantly, not be able to think about anything else but this all the time, every fucking moment. Everything I look at, should I do that? Should I make refrigerators? Should I make microwaves? Should I do what my dad did and become an academic? Could I do that? Should I just go out in the hills and just do yoga all the time? Like this guy over here. And just forget about everything and just do the, Dhanurasana all day long. These are the questions. I've been off the drugs for now, I guess, about 4 or 5 months. And I'm feeling like I'm about to go back on them, and so I went and saw my shrink, and Tadao, she gave me the new joint, Cymbalta, it's called. I feel bad. I feel like I'm giving up. I feel like the fact that I need these means that I'm weaker than other people who don't, that I'm a punk. Alright, so here we go. Cymbalta. For depression. Also used for pain associated with diabetes or some shit.
Although Andrew decided to go back on an antidepressant, he still feared that this would prevent him from learning the lessons born from overcoming hardship.
I might not have gotten out of that. It's possible I might not have. I mean, that's possible too, that I would have been in the same depressive state forever. I think that's probably not the case. I probably would have at some point come out of it. I think due to maybe just the natural flow of things, the ups and downs, or maybe working really hard at specific things that would make me feel better and changing my life drastically. I'm so confused about this point though, Anna, because I don't know. If that's true, then maybe I shouldn't have gone on the meds again.
Fine.
But that's true. I'm not kidding. Maybe now I won't do that work. I am so serious. But maybe the worry I would have would be that the way I got out of it was like really drastic and dramatic, and I learned how to fucking be a man through it. I learned how to be tough, be an adult. And the meds keep me in this state of to get out of it, I would have had to work out 10 days a week.
But you're actually starting. That's the thing. That's the whole thing. Is that when you were paralyzed.
I hope. We always talked about this. This is still a question. It never was answered for me.
I think that's just such crap. It's like
I couldn't understand why Andrew's question had not been answered, especially considering what we learned and what he went through. I thought his worries about struggle were unfounded. After endless debate over this point, we finally decided to turn to someone with a little bit more knowledge.
This is a big conversation, so you suffer. A person suffers. He asks himself, why? Why? Not so much why me, why did God do this to me, but now that this is my situation, this is my lot, this is my life, what am I supposed to do with this? There's a lot of ways how to understand this. I think the first thing that we have to understand is that the first thing you have to do is make peace with it. So it's not about fighting something. Because until you don't accept something, and that's essentially what responsibility is, even being responsible to ourselves. Responsibility means that you accept something as yours. You know, a child will spill the milk, open up the fridge, want a drink, and the whole milk just spill over the floor. And they'll come running upstairs and say, Tati or Mommy, the milk spilled. The milk spilled. But that's the definition of an immature statement. Now, a mature person will come along and say, you know, I'm sorry, I spilled the milk. Now, there's a very big difference between the milk spilled or I spilled the milk. And the same goes with ourselves. People have sicknesses. What does it mean? What does it mean that you have a sickness? You are the sickness. It's not something you have that you can give away. You have it today, oh, I don't want it anymore. I'm giving it away. And once you claim it as your own, and once you accept it as your own, then it's the beginning of your ability to climb out of the darkness.
Owning up to oneself can be really hard when faced with mental issues. Nobody wants to think they're crazy or seen as weak. A major hurdle in providing care to people seeking mental health treatment, from counseling to medication, remains the stigma attached to mental illness. Perhaps this accounts for the fact that, according to the Journal of the American Medical Association, we're actually undertreated when it comes to mental disorders.
I'll be honest, I didn't tell anybody about the game.
But when you didn't tell people, was it because you were sort of like...
I thought it was really weird.
You thought it was really weird?
I was like, I don't want people to think I'm like a psycho.
Right.
Can you believe how loud these insects are?
Wow.
Yeah. And you're doing good.
I mean, I'm doing okay.
Well,
I'm doing fine. I'm regulated and stabilized to the point where, like, I'm not miserable all the time. I'm still not super great, but I'm okay. Is it this tree? I'm gonna kick this tree. Hold on.
As the pills were slowly taking effect and Andrew was feeling better, it was becoming clear to me that, despite his worries, the meds were not preventing him from growing, but allowing him to grow.
As emotional pain.
We decided to interview one more person we thought was essential to the documentary, Andrew Solomon. After recovering from a severe depression, this New Yorker magazine contributor wrote The Noonday Demon, which won the National Book Award in 2001. His work inspired and directed us throughout the documentary.
I mean, I love the medications because they've saved me, but I hate the medications, not only because I hate the side effects, but because I hate having to count them out at night. I hate looking at them in my hand and thinking, is this all that stands between me and being completely crazy? I hate thinking when I'm on an airplane and I accidentally leave something on the plane, oh my God, did I leave my pills on the plane? Am I going to have a nervous breakdown here in Morocco? You know, it's not a good or a happy feeling. But all of that being said, I feel as though in some ways it's a little easier for me because my depression was so catastrophic and because I really did try going without it and I just couldn't do it. I think it's harder for people who can sort of manage without them but not very well. I think those are the people who really have the option of going off them. I don't have that option. Short of a nuclear holocaust, I need to stay on them and I will.
I wonder if when you were in those, I mean, you'd already accomplished, it seems, quite a great deal publishing the novel before you were in the throes of what was really, really deep. Did you think that that person was gone? That's the way, at least that's the way I'm feeling. That I've done things in the past that impressed me when I think about them, but I'm at such a low point sometimes that it seems like that person's gone.
Oh, in the depression, I didn't think I would ever be able to do anything again. I mean, I couldn't answer the telephone. The idea that I would write another book was, you know, completely out of the question. Yeah, I felt as though I'd been destroyed. I felt very much ruined. I think there are a lot of feelings of strength that come out of recovering from the depression. But I think when you're in the depression, you still have this feeling while you're in it of being weak and defeated and hopeless. And I mean, the very symptoms of the depression are those feelings of hopelessness and helplessness and horror and despair. If you had a depression but you sort of felt like, well, this will probably pass and then I'll be okay, it wouldn't be a depression.
Right.
What you have are occasional episodes that aren't too acute, then perhaps there's a certain benefit in feeling like you can just live through them and get through them. But at some basic level, I feel like people who are doing that frequently don't understand that you don't get the time back. I mean, if you're depressed for just a year, but it's the year you're 27, you never get to be 27 again. You've used up that whole year that way. And if there's a way that you can actually manage to be depressed only for 3 months of the year that you're 27, then you actually have the time. And if it's just 1 year, it doesn't matter, but I meet people all the time who've lost decades to this, and they keep saying, but I just feel like I wanted to deal with it myself, and I wanted to be strong, and I feel like you may have wanted to be strong, but now you're old, and you've missed a lot of life, so.
As we were wrapping up the documentary, I wanted to know if Andrew had any final reflections.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even when I was, really little, I thought, I'm a lesser person because I needed this Ritalin, or now I'm a lesser person because, I need or at least get help from this SSRI. And I just think that's a part of me. Yes, like I'm more fragile mentally in certain ways. Yes, like I had attention problems, but I also have a lot of, good traits about me, and I'm proud of those, and I think it's just about taking inventory of yourself as a whole person, and saying these are the cards that I've been dealt, these are the tools that are provided for me by society, by science, and, I'm going to take all that into account and live the best life I can. It's interesting how people, and how I thought that because I had help mentally, it wasn't me. Like an athlete who uses a brace and plays a great basketball game is not going to worry, was it me or the brace that played a great basketball game? I shouldn't worry if it's, me or the Ritalin who, writes a great essay. But in terms of them stopping me from a struggle, no, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think, especially from what Dr. Hellerstein said and what we've learned from everyone and what Solomon said, there's no question in my mind that I don't want to lose years, not play games. I want to play basketball. I want to play. I want to be in the game. I wanted to see if I couldn't be allergic, so I took this dog because it was so cute. I wanted to adopt it, and I just rubbed my face in it like this. I just took it and went, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. So I just took the dog and I smushed my whole face in it, and it was fine. And then about, half an hour later, I couldn't see or breathe or anything.
Really? Did the dog happen to do this?
No, I just rubbed it on the street. I just took it on the street.
Really?
Because I really wanted... No, it was on the street.
You're allergic to dogs?
I'm really allergic to dogs.
When did this happen?
It's now been more than a year since we started this documentary. Andrew now goes regularly to therapy. His business has grown to include 5 additional associates, and they have plans to launch a test site in the next few months. He has completed 10 tracks for his educational rap project, and several teachers have already started using his music in their classrooms. He's also working on a new documentary about one of the founding fathers of cognitive behavioral therapy. I guess, as he would say, he's in the game.